Superman sat in a chair in his fortress of solitude. He studied screens lining a wall carved out of ice. One showed Penguin being let go, probably by bribing the police. One of the crashed ship of Abin Sur. One of Arkham Asylum's ruins. One of Atlantis, with much of the city worried of Orm returning. And one of Themyscira, where people were still picking up rubble from Ares. He thinks he could have intervened. However, just then he flies out of the chair. "What do you want, Bruce?" As soon as Superman asked this, two figures fell from the ceiling of the room. Nightwing and Batman had been watching him.
"You know, I fear you. You are a variable I can't control. What if you decided to lose your self-control and take over? Or, what if someone like Professor Pig or Scarecrow uses your mind for nefarious purposes?"
Bruce asks. "Unfortunately, Bruce, your sense of timing is perfect. Right now, that's exactly the problem I'm tracking. I believe Earth is under the threat of an alien invasion."
"You know, some would consider you to be an alien invasion."
"I mean an alien invasion that doesn't mean well."
"How do I know that you mean well?"
Bruce asks. "You can't. However, I have a plan to hold me and all the rest of us accountable in case of disaster, and because this threat is too big for me to take on alone." Batman shakes Superman's hand, and Batman decides to hear him out. Superman told him, "I'll see you soon, with some more help." Superman lands in Themyscira and walks up to Diana Prince and Arthur Curry talking. Diana greets Superman, but Aquaman hasn't met him yet, so he is hesitant to trust him. Diana talked to Aquaman, and with Artemis backing Wonder Woman up, Aquaman had to agree. Superman then took them to the Fortress of Solitude, where they met Batman and Nightwing. Batman seemed especially interested in Aquaman, since at least someone else was a bit skeptical of Superman's intentions. Above the atmosphere, Hal Jordan is working with Sinestro to fight off some undead Corugarians. Hal was just wiping the floor with him, but Sinestro took this more personally, because they are the same species as him. Hal created a giant fly swatter and knocked them around the vacuum of space, whereas Sinestro was forming cages out of his Green Lantern constructs just to trap them, not beat them. Hal then agreed that containment should be their priority, so he conjured a green vacuum cleaner, which sucked up all of them. Hal's ring then gave a notice that his sector was having an alert, so he let Sinestro handle the rest of this. Hal's ring directed him to the North Pole, which Hal found odd. He then saw the Batwing and a logo of Superman on the Fortress of Solitude, so he decided to go in. He landed and entered, seeing all of these people he had specifically been trained to kill all that time ago under Amanda Waller. Superman motioned for Hal to sit down, and he did, right between Wonder Woman and Nightwing. "Hello, all. I present to you the idea of the Justice League. We would be Earth's united protectors for all major events that one of us couldn't handle on our own. We are not here to police. We are not here to rule. We are just here to save people." Batman raised his hand, immediately turning the room from a tense environment into much more of a calm yet professional one.
"What is this threat none of us can take down alone that you keep talking about?"
"Well, Batman, I'm glad you mentioned that. I need to introduce you to Starro. He is an alien that has a multitude of spores across the universe." A screen turned on, and the whole room aside from Superman gasped. Selina Kyle, Kilowog, Jim Gordon, Jimmy Olsen, and Artemis were all on screen, with small starfish-like creatures across their necks. "The real danger here is that these Starros will reprogram the host's minds, making the host do exactly whatever the Starro says, no matter what. And to further complicate things, once a spore has a host, it spawns a new spore every day. Kilowog has had his the longest, and had hitched a ride with Abin Sur's spaceship, and since then they have spread across the globe. Hal stood up. Wait, so you're telling me Kilowog hasn't been in full control of his actions since I got this ring? So, we might have been simply used as puppets for the Starros? Well, not exactly, Hal, Superman said. Starros typically stay more hidden in a position of power. So Kilowog is probably still acting mostly like normal, but just slight changes. Also, the ring's willpower would reject Starro anyway if it fully controlled him. Now, what we need is a few things to stop this. I have a Kryptonian noise amplifier, so Aquaman can use that to project his aquatic control onto the Starros, forcing them to leave their hosts. And if held for long enough, they will shrivel up and die. However, I don't think this power will be enough. Besides, you'd have to have an incredible willpower to do this. Green Lantern raised his hand to volunteer for the willpower necessary. That will help, but we'll need more mental control. Batman growled as Nightwing looked at him.
I may know a guy,
he told the group. Nightwing looked at him, dumbfounded. Surely you don't mean... He trailed off. In the Gotham City Police Department, a man stood up as he heard a rumbling noise. He adjusted his green bowler hat and reached down to his cellmate who was laying against the bars. As the cellmate got up, he too adjusted his headgear to make sure the pig mask on his head wasn't crooked. Through the door, Batman ran in and straight to Pig and Riddler's cell.
I need your mask, Valentine.
Oh, yes, of course. The Dark Knight needs Pig's mask. But if that were all, he would have just taken it.
I need to know how to use it,
Batman replied.
Simply think, Detective. It's honestly not that hard to stoop from your supposed morality all the way down to us.
I am nothing like either of you, Nashton. Valentine, you know this.
Pig is not Valentine. Pig is Pig.
And remember, Detective, I'm the Riddler now. Edward Nashton is gone.
Exactly, Batman said. I am Batman, but I am also Bruce Wayne. I am both, but I am one.
Back at the Fortress of Solitude, Hal put Professor Pig's mask on, and Wonder Woman raised the Kryptonian amplifier to Aquaman's head. Hal used his willpower, and Aquaman tried his best. Between the two of them, they were holding the Starros off their hosts all across the universe. Superman used his super hearing and super sight to check to make sure they were all removed, and this was true. However, Batman's miniature computer in his suit told him about absurd tectonic plate activity. Right then, a pointed tendril broke out of the ice. The purple limb had suckers and a point on the end, and then it wrapped around Batman, raising him into the air.
Superman, you didn't tell us about this thing.
I didn't know about it, Bruce. Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern were still occupied, ensuring the Starros were dying, but Nightwing was just standing there. He did a cartwheel towards the tendril and spun his bow staff with him through the air, pulling it apart in his hands into two Eskrima sticks and slamming into the limb. It let Batman fall, but then 4 more came out of large cracks in the ice as a giant Starro rose his body up. I was trapped there for decades. I used my hive mind to send some minions to help free me, but clearly I have to get you out of my way first, the starfish communicated telepathically. Starro Prime jumped into the air and tried to slam back down on the Batwing to destroy it, but Superman punched it in the eye. Batman and Nightwing got into the Batwing and aimed at one of its arms and flew at it with top speed. This cut the limb off the creature and Batman smiled. Hey, Bruce, watch out, Nightwing told him, as the limb regrew on Starro. Superman then cried out, I can hear that the Starros are dead. Now, help us out. Aquaman then grabs his trident and cuts off a limb of the alien. Green Lantern creates a giant green chain and grabs another limb of the creature, while Superman and Wonder Woman each grab a limb. Batman and Nightwing then fly the Batwing towards Starro and lodges into the arm. The Justice League flies up and launches Starro far off into space, away from Earth. As the battle finished, the heroes looked at each other, waiting for a shoe to drop. Nightwing raised his hand and simply said, "I like this. Let's do it again sometime." The other heroes, with Batman of course being last, put their hands together in a circle and united. A few months later, the Justice League met at their new building in Metropolis, called the Hall of Justice. The League sat around a table and made a bold decision. Batman led this choice. He removed his cowl and told everyone that he is Bruce Wayne. Everyone already knew this, but the gesture was still felt. Superman then whipped around super fast, changing his costume into a common outfit. He introduced himself as Clark Kent. Aquaman and Diana simply said their human names of Diana Prince and Arthur Curry, because they didn't really have hidden identities. Green Lantern's costume peeled back, and he said his name was Hal Jordan. Nightwing was last, and he removed his mask, telling everyone that he is Dick Grayson. Across the universe, a screen showed the Justice League beating Starro. It flickered red and orange.
Alright, well, now that the Earth has heroes, guess I'll have to quash them too. Maybe get some heroes of my own.
A voice resounded over the computer. Darkseid sat in front of his screens, his eyes glowing bright red.